Hello everyone and welcome to this PVM series video about the Elite Dungeon 3. Today we're going to be talking Elite Dungeons, and we're going to be splitting this video in three parts so that it becomes easier to handle and easier to watch for everyone. In this first part of the video we'll be talking about everything Elite Dungeon related, Elite Dungeon 3 related, up to the first boss. So we're gonna talk location, we're gonna talk monsters, we're gonna talk equipment, and we're gonna talk everything you need to know, and up to the fight against the Crassian Leviathan for the first boss. We're gonna have a second video on screen right now, speaking about Taraket the Necromancer, the second boss, and a third video speaking about the road between Taraket and the final boss, the Ambassador. So right now we're going to talk about the rewards, the pet, and the title, the reason behind why you should do or why do you want to do Elite Dungeons 3, and that's because there's an awesome pet called Ambi that you can get with a different threshold. In all the elite dungeons, the drop rates differ between solo, duo, and 3-man. So if you do a solo kill, you get a 1 in 300 drop rate, a very high drop rate. If you do a duo, you get a 1 in 1000, and if you do a 3-man, you get a 1 in 1.5k. So it changes accordingly to how many people are in the group, making solo very rewarding and duo and trio easier, but not as rewarding as doing it on your own. There are three unique drops from the dungeon, that is the Eldritch Crossbow, the Blackstone Heart, and the Blackstone Arrows, and mostly you want to do these for the Eldritch Crossbow pieces. Each piece is around 1 billion, but at the time of making this video, and it's at the time the best ranged weapon in the game. So it's a pretty good weapon, it's a pretty good drop to get. It's dropped in 3 different pieces by the Ambassador only, so the first bosses don't matter that much. From the other drops you get 2 lore books, 2 different lore books, one from the Crassian Leviathan and one from Taraket, the second boss. You get Onyx Dust, you can get Sirenic Scales, Hydrix Tips, Triskelion pieces, you can get a couple of titles, and there are a lot of drops that you can get from here, still making it worthwhile to try. First off, we're going to talk about the boss that is the theme of this video, and that is the Crassian Leviathan. The Crassian Leviathan has 380,000 life points. It has one phase, though it switches sides at some points, and it has the same affinity for every single style, making it weak to making it equally weak to every single style in the game. It is poisonable, it is immune to stun, and it's weak to the Hex Hunter bow. Also, I want to clarify, even though it has the same affinity for melee than the rest of the styles, if you want to melee it, it's totally doable, but you need a halberd type weapon, a weapon with +1 range, meaning Scythe is the best melee weapon for the Crassian Leviathan, followed by Laniakea's Spear, and then a Dragon Rider Lance. What are the minimum requirements? And here I'm gonna talk about the requirements that I suggest for the whole dungeon, not only for this boss, but for the whole dungeon. And that is 90 defense, 90 magic ranged and melee with 90 tier equipment, 96 Herblord or more for overloads. If you have Supreme Overlord or Elder Overload, that's gonna be easier. 95 prayer and curses unlocked for turmoil curses. Evidently, if you have better gear and better stats, it's even better. And to complete the quest, the Curse of the Black Stone, that will reduce 10% of the damage you get. Now, for the location of the Shadow Reef, you want to teleport to Daemonheim. You want to use the Ring of Kingship or take the boat to Daemonheim. And once you're in Daemonheim, you need to walk east. So you walk east to the dungeon, and you're gonna see a boat by the end of the road. That boat is the place where you wanna click for the Shadow Reef. One important thing to note is that the chest out there collects your loot, and you should have it on for every single battle in the dungeon, even though it can double your drops if you turn it off. But if you turn it on, it will collect your loot, and you will want to turn it off for the final boss, for the possibility of getting a double Eldritch crossbow piece. Now, for the equipment, you want to be wearing the best equipment you have. I recommend for melee that you use Drygors for the most of the dungeon with a halberd type weapon switch, meaning scythe, laniakeas, dragon rider lance, etc. For magic, you got seismics. For range, you got ascensions. Tier 90 weapons are pretty good and are really good in here. And for your armor slot, you want masterwork armor or the next tier 80 armor as a minimum for this dungeon. Gloves, Cinderbait gloves are best in slot since everything within the dungeon is poisonable, so that's gonna help a lot. And for ring, I really recommend Champion's Ring if you are meleeing, Stalkers, or Channelers, because sometimes the accuracy can be a nuisance. If you have best in slot gear, you can use the Reverse Ring from the Rex Matriarchs, or Asylum Surgeon Ring, or any other ring. A Kiln Cape, as always, for your chosen style. And for the necklace, if you're not using a Demon Horn necklace, which I highly recommend, you want to use an Essence of Finality or an Amulet of Souls. Now for the pocket, I usually use a Scrimshaw of Vampirism when I'm melee, or a Godbook in any other style, but I only turn them on for the bosses, especially for the second and third boss. The first part of the dungeon is pretty simple, and now let's talk about the inventory. For the inventory of the dungeon, you want to have your combat kit, or what I call a combat kit. That is your Excalibur, your Elbow Shard, your shield, your Prey Pot, your Holy Wrench, your Vigor Switch, and every single thing that you can take everywhere for PvM. As you can see, the first 2 rows or something from our inventory setup here are mostly used everywhere. So Excalibur, Ancient Shard, Prayer Flasks, Holy Wrench, etc. That should be pretty easy. Important thing to note is the best weapon poison you can get. Weapon poison plus is viable at the GE, so I really recommend that, stacked with Cinder Veins. And if you're using a Laniakeas Spear as your halberd, the poison damage will absolutely destroy every minion that comes around you. So you either want a weapon with +1 range if you are meleeing, or mechanized chinchompas if you are maging, because there are certain points of the dungeon when you fight clusters of enemies, and having the best area damage abilities will be very helpful with that. You want to bring some food just in case. I bring 4 brews and 8 jellyfishes just because, and I usually only eat them to after Taraket. So it's really easy the first part of the dungeon. And if you have them, you want to bring Lucky Charms for the Shadow Reef. They will allow you to increase your profit for a considerable amount, especially in this dungeon. Each one of them can be bought at Dungeoneering for 10,000 Dungeoneering tokens, so it's up to you if you want to use them or not. Now, for the start of the dungeon, you want to start, select normal mode, and you want to go over and clear every single minion that you see. There are some minions that you can skip, but at first you want to clear all of the minions. And what I like to do is I like to walk closer to the end of the arena so that all minions cluster up and I can do area damage on them, and I can just keep destroying them all using my area damage abilities, and that should be pretty easy. On this run, I'm actually using dual Drygors so that you can see the Drygor settings, and as you can see, we're actually clearing the dungeon quite fast. We're about to reach a point where we're gonna start skipping minions right here after these 2 mages. We can skip most of the minions in the next part, and that helps saves you some time at the cost of some loot. So it's up to you if you want to kill all of those crabs. You just need to kill the 2 scouts, the one that attacks with range over there, and the 2 zealots at the end. Once you kill the 2 zealots, the barricade will open, and you can keep going on, and you can keep moving forward. Right now you have the zombies. You want to kill the zombies, all of them in this area to move, and we're about to reach the first boss now. So you want to kill all of the zombies, and as you can see, you can ignore the minions. They will follow you around, and some of them may die because of your area damaging abilities, but otherwise you can just ignore them or kill them if you want. After the bridge, you can just kill the minions here, and in the next part there's a chest unlocking the teleport to the first boss, and that will help you be able to bank in case you need it. So right now we're killing the mages here, and you only need to kill the mages. You only need to kill the cloaked zealots to open the barricade. Otherwise, it won't be needed to kill all of the crabs left. Now the crabs will follow you into the boss area, so that might be a little um, a little hard to do in case you're wondering it. So you might want to kill them, restock, take your time. It's fine to take your time. And once you're ready to go to the first boss, we're gonna be talking about the Crassian Leviathan next. Crassian Leviathan, the first boss of the Elite Dungeons 3. And first of all, we want to talk about the arena. The arena of the Crassian Leviathan, it's a very important thing. It's at least this fight is a very mobility based fight, and it's gonna be really, really important to know where to stand and what to do uh, to be able to face it up. First off, the Crassian Leviathan has two places where it can be. It's a fixed boss, that means it barely moves, but it can switch sides of the arena. At first, it will appear on the right side of the arena where there's a boat, and it will be stuck in that boat entrance you see there. And at some points during the fight, it will move to the other side. One important thing to note are the four red dots on the screen are what I recommend you standing to DPS the Crassian Leviathan. So if he is by the dock, by the boat, you want to stand in one of the right hand dots, either on top or on the bottom. And if he's on the other side, you're gonna stand on one of those dots, and that will help you be able to react faster without taking much damage from his mechanics. It's a very simple fight, but you want to be paying attention since it's really punishing. Most of his specials do around 5,000 to 6,000 typeless damage, so it can kill you really fast if you're not paying attention to the fight, and that's why I recommend standing in one of those points. You can actually stand in other places of the arena, but it makes moving around and dodging the specials a bit trickier. So I should recommend, even if you are using mage or range, to stand in those spots and do the following. So for the fight itself, once you start, he's gonna be on the boat side, and as you can see, we're gonna start the fight and we're gonna keep our Laniakea spear and standing one of the two spots there. We're gonna DPS him. We're throwing a vulnerability bomb using all of our debuffs, and we're gonna start DPSing them. One important thing to note is that his first special is gonna be a water spout, and that water spout, that poison spout, it's gonna be pretty dangerous. So if you're standing in the middle, you're gonna die instantly. You're gonna be hit for way heavy damage, for a lot of damage, really fast, and you're gonna die. Next, he does small attacks that you can easily soul split back from, and after a couple attacks he will lean his head to one side. So once he leans his head to one side, you're going to want to move to the other red dot, the one that's opposite, unless and if you don't move in time, you will receive up to 6k typeless damage. As you saw right there, I took a 3.2k hit, and that's even through masterwork armor, so it hits really hard. After doing the head thing twice, you want to use anticipation or freedom and move to the other side of the arena, since he's going to switch sides, and repeat. So he's gonna do the poison thing, the poison spout there. So if you're standing in the middle when you start the fight, or when he switches sides, you're gonna die. And a little after that, he's just gonna lean his head to one side and swipe one side of the arena. It's random which side it begins, and then he's gonna go to the other side. So you wanna walk to the other red dot that I signaled in the arena, in the image back then, to make sure you are safe. And the reason you want to stand as close as possible is that you can move sides or you can switch sides way easier. A thing I like to do sometimes is just right click where I want to move and keep my mouse over the walk option, just so I'm ready to walk over and just face him or just survive the hit easier. Once you kill him, well, it's pretty simple. One thing to note is that it can recover health. It recovers health sporadically, so if you stop attacking him for a certain amount of time, it will regain a lot of health, so you must keep attacking him. And as you can see, it's a pretty straightforward fight. It's actually one of the easiest bosses of the game right now, and you can actually fight him really easy. So that was the Crassian Leviathan. I hope this helps you guys get onto Elite Dungeons 3 and start doing the Shadow Reef and start farming these. And one side note is that if you do everything up to and before the Crassian Leviathan, that's what people call trash mobs. It's supposed to be one of the best combat XPs in the game. I personally don't like it that much, but if you hear about trash mobs, you want to go all the way to Crassian and stop. Hope this helped you guys. Next time we're gonna be talking about Taraket the Necromancer and the second part of Elite Dungeons 3. And as always, I'm Saga Macaro and see you next time.